Hey guys! So today we're going to be moving on from parallel and perpendicular lines, and we're going to be moving on to triangles. So first off, we're going to look at different ways to classify triangles. So we can classify triangles first off, by their angles. So if they have three acute angles, so smaller than 90 degrees, okay, less than a corner, it's going to be an acute triangle. Okay, if it has three acute angles, they don't have to be different. If it even has one obtuse angle here, then it's going to be an obtuse triangle. Okay, if it has one right angle here, it's going to be considered a right triangle. And then if you have three congruent angles, so all three of these the same, put one tick mark on each of them to show they're the same, then that is an EQU. Sorry, this one's kind of hard to write. I don't know if I have enough room. Equiangular triangle, because they have equal angles. So now we are going to go ahead and I'll mark these ones that are the same, okay? And we're going to determine how to classify each of these triangles by its angles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at a different color so we can look at these. So CDE, so we're looking from C to D to E here. We can see that it has this right angle here. So it is a right triangle because it has this right angle. Okay, on to the next one, BCE. So go from B to C and then down to E. You can see that these two angles are acute. However, this angle here looks like it's definitely larger than a 90-degree angle. So it's an obtuse angle, and if it has an obtuse angle, then it is an obtuse triangle. Okay, ABE. Okay, so if we look at ABE, AB, and then down to E, we can see that these are all three acute angles, but we see that they all three have these little angle marks on them, which means they're all three the same. If we have three equal angles, then it is an equiangular triangle. I want you to go ahead and pause the video. I want you to try to determine what 4 and 5 are on your own, and then press play when you're done, and we'll see if you're right. Okay, so if we look at number 4, we're looking at BDE. So from B to D, all the way down here, and then to E, all over here. You can see that this angle right here is definitely larger than 90 degrees, and since it's got an obtuse angle, then it is an obtuse triangle. Okay, and now we can look at the very last one, CFE. CFE here. Okay, all three of these angles are less than 90 degrees, so they're all three acute. And we don't know that they're the same because they don't have these little angle marks. So they could be different, but since they're all three acute, it's going to be considered an acute triangle. So we can label them, like I said, by angles, but we can also classify the different triangles by their sides. So if it has three sides that are the same length, all three are the same, then it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, equilateral triangle. If you have two sides that are the same and the third is not necessarily the same, it's an isosceles triangle. That is a C, not an E. CE. So ISOSCELES, an isosceles triangle, has two sides the same. And then if none of the sides are the same, so I'm going to go ahead and show none of the sides are the same, they have different numbers of tick marks on them, then it is a scalene triangle. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try to determine 6, 7, and 8 on your own. Okay, so now that you've done that, let's go ahead and look at them and see if you got them right. So 6 says JKM. JKM is this big part here. Okay, so you can see that this part right here only has one tick mark. This is one tick mark plus some extra. This is two tick marks plus some extra. Okay, so none of those three sides are the same. So it is going to be considered a scalene triangle because none of those sides are the same. Okay. If we look at the next triangle, we're looking at KLN. KLN. Here, you see this has 2 tick marks, and this one has 2 tick marks, so those two are the same. But this one only has 1, so it's not the same. So it's 2 sides that are the same or congruent to one another. So it's isosceles. It's an isosceles triangle. And lastly, if we look at JKN, okay, you can see that each of these only has 1 tick mark, meaning that they're all 3 the same length. So they are, this is an equilateral triangle. Okay, I hope you got these correct. Now I'm going to show you number 9, and let's go over number 11 on this one. Okay, 9, 11, and 12, and you're going to do 10, 13, and 14 on your own. Okay, so 9, we're going to look at it angles first. So it has a right angle, so it's a right triangle. Okay, now we're going to look at its sides. It has 2 sides the same. The third one is not the same. So it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so we're going to determine which of the very top ones it is and which of the ones next it is. So we're going to determine which of these ones it is, and we're going to determine which of these ones it is. Okay, so I'm going to do 11 now. We can see that all 3 of these angles are the same, so 60, 60, and 60. So they're equiangular. Okay. And then if we look at the sides, 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, it is also equilateral. Okay, so it's an equiangular, equilateral triangle. Okay, and then now we can look at number 12. Okay, none of these angles are marked, so we don't know that any of them are the same, but we can look and see that all of these are going to be acute angles. So it is going to be an acute triangle, all less than 90 degrees. And then we have 15 inches, 18, and 20 inches. None of those are the same, so it's going to be a scalene triangle. Now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and do 10, 13, and 14 on your own. Go ahead and determine whether each triangle is an acute, obtuse, right, or equiangular triangle, and then determine whether it is equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and look at this one a little bit. So it tells us that PR, okay, so this big line here, bisects, so cuts in half, perfectly, SRT. So SRT, so these 2 parts are the same, so that one's 30, so this one's 30, okay, and U is the midpoint of RT, so again, cuts it in half. So R to T, U is the midpoint, so if this one's 8 meters, so is this one, and so is this one, since it already has that little tick mark there. Okay, and then we're going to decide whether it is classify each of these triangles. Sorry, so if that's a right angle, that's a right angle, that's also a right angle. Okay, that one's 60 degrees. We're gonna go and say this one's 60. That means that this one's 30. Okay. So now let's go ahead and see UQR. So if we're looking at UQR, we're looking at this triangle right here. Okay. Looking at the angles first. We have 30 something and 120. We know that in a triangle there's 180. If we subtract 30 and 120, we are going to get 30 degrees on this side too. So this one's also 30 degrees. Okay. So since 30, 30, and 120, 120 is an obtuse angle, and so it's going to be an obtuse triangle. Okay, so it's going to be obtuse. But then if we look at the sides, we have 8 meters and 8 meters, and we don't know what this one is, but we do know that those 2 are the same, so it's isosceles, because we have 2 the same. So it's an obtuse isosceles triangle. RST. Okay, it's going to be this big triangle here. Okay, so if we look at the angles first, we have a 60-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, and a 60-degree angle, because this is 30 and 30. So it is going to be equiangular. These two are also 8 plus 8, so these are both equilateral as well. Okay? So it's an equiangular equilateral triangle. Okay? I want you to go ahead and try the rest of these on your own. Okay? Pause the video and try those ones on your own, and we'll see how you think of them. See what your answers are. Okay? I'm not going to give you the answers to them, just to determine whether they are, first determine whether they are acute, obtuse, right, or equiangular, and then determine whether they're equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Okay? So this next part, I'm actually going to do in a separate video because it deserves to be its own video and you need a little more time to do these ones. So make sure you watch that video next. Go and finish these first and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys later.